Hey, this is JD. Due to a technical glitch, we lost about the first 10 minutes of the show. You're going to come in the middle of myself, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely talking about the DC Universe relaunch. Sorry, and, well, enjoy the rest of the show anyway.
You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
Okay. Try the Ustream if you're having trouble. The tfradio.net, it's a little bit odd. The chat is from Ustream, but the video is from Justin, so.
The stream's working on my end.
Figure that out. Anyway, cool.
I tried streaming, it's working on my end. Okay, I don't know.
That's fine. Moving on.
Okay, so where were we? Justice League International, written by Dan Jurgens, with art by Aaron Lopresti. So that is the artist from Generation Lost. He did in Generation Lost.
I think I'm going to have to get that one.
I am so buying that one. That's easy.
There seems to be, I'm pretty sure it's taking Booster's place on the on the schedule.
But regardless, that was made for me, so yeah.
Okay. Mr. Terrific by Eric Wallace and Roger Robinson.
Try that.
That is one of those ones where you do have to wonder. Cool character, but you do have to wonder what they're thinking.
It's like,
I'm passing. And the really strange thing is that I didn't see an announcement for JSA.
JSA is not in these 52. It doesn't mean it's not coming back. It just means it's not in
not in
September.
the 52. That's kind of weird.
Yeah. Captain Atom #1 by J.T. Kroll again, with art by Freddie Williams II. It is not J.H. Williams III.
They're finally doing something with that character that won't make it. Anyway,
DC Universe Presents #1 by Paul Jenkins and Bernard Chang. Now, DC Universe Presents is going to be an anthology series. It's going to have multi-issue story arcs focusing on different characters. So this seems like it might, for as long as they want to just be about 52 comics or whatever, there's like this might take the place of mini-series or whatever. Like they'll do short stories in this book, but it's starting off with a Dead Man story.
I think I'll get the Dead Man.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. I want to laud it. I really want to be like, who's gonna buy that? But Dead Man to start out, I mean that's pretty strong. So.
Okay, then the Green Lantern books. I've just dropped a link into your windows there, guys, for you to check out. We've got Green Lantern #1, written by Jeff Johns and art by Doug Mank, which is to say, think business as usual.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got Green Lantern Corps #1. Which is written by Peter Tomasi with art by Fernando Passaran and Scott Hanna. Don't know about the art-wise, but Tomasi was writing Core, then moved over to Emerald Warriors, and is now back on Core again. And the first issue cover of that shows that this is going to be the John and Guy book. Kilowog's in there too. Then we have the New Guardians, which is written by Tony Bedard, so he's moved over from Core, which is what he's on now, to this new book, which is with art by Tyler Kirkham. And we have the cover for it too, but it has been blacked out. The figures on it have been blacked out. Why? Questioning. But it's supposed to be about Kyle leading a team of different colored lanterns. You guys see the picture there?
I can't link to it.
Well, just
as it'll screw up the picture.
Okay.
But
well, I mean,
drop it in the
Ustream
Ustream chat for our listeners as well.
I just have it on a website. Yeah, well, our links enabled.
Yeah, should be.
Let's find out, Ustream listeners.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, there we go.
Cool.
That's it. Oh, so it's going to be like the different color, because the New Guardians makes me think, oh, is he going to be a Guardian? What?
Well, I mean, this is what JD speculated there last week. It's not impossible. I mean, he's not dead, but
yeah, as long as he's not dead.
They are blacked out for a reason, because it's not like we can't identify Bleeze from the Red Lanterns and Arkillo from the Yellow Lanterns, and that certainly appears to be Saint Walker from the Blue Lanterns. Don't know with the Star Sapphire, could really be anybody. I believe that little bug's name is Glom or Gom.
Yeah, it's Glom from the orange.
So he's a construct then. He's not a real one, right? Because Larfleeze just makes constructs, right?
Ooh, now that's interesting. The for the Indigo tribe, That's the her right hand guy, but that's Indigo One's staff. I wonder if Indigo One's
gonna. How can you tell?
What do you mean? How can I tell?
Well, it looks like a guy. It doesn't
it's
look like
a bald dude.
Yeah, it looks like a bald dude.
Yeah, but that guy is. That's the guy that's been in the.
What's his stuff?
Huh?
Honestly, all what I know of is Indigo One. I know the rest of them are in the background, but I don't pay attention to them.
This day was, who gives a fuck about the Indigo Lantern?
I think the Indigo Lanterns are interesting because there's a little bit of a mystery around them. So.
I think that they've strung that mystery out too long at this point.
Yeah, it has been a bit long because it started all the way back at the end of Sinestro Corps, wasn't it? The end of Sinestro Corps War, didn't they come in?
That's when they were mentioned.
Yeah. So it's been a while, and we really have only heard little bits. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what they're going to do with Kyle, or maybe who knows? Maybe he'll go back to being what was it? Ion. So
I hope not.
It seems to be the most interesting sounding Lantern book so far, purely because it's such an unknown quantity. Because the other book we have is the Red Lanterns book, which is being written by Peter Milligan with art by Ed Benez. So it'll certainly look pretty, and we've got the cover for it there. It just has all the characters you would expect.
Yeah, I don't see that book lasting. I really don't.
No, I don't know that it has legs as a concept. You know.
I mean,
I get what they're doing. Green Lantern's coming out. You gotta make some money off of that. So let's put out a lot of Green Lantern type books, but still,
I think the Guardians book and Core are probably those are probably the more likely. But I would say that Core is the only one. I think Core will last just because it's got, I don't know, it's got good characters you want. It's got guys.
Yeah.
Come on, But anyway, so.
Then let's see. The Bat books are next. Batman #1 by Scott Snyder with art by Greg Capullo.
Now, Greg Capullo, that's kind of cool, but remind me, Scott Snyder, is he the guy who's been doing a detective?
That's him, yeah. He's been doing detective.
Him, okay.
And he gets good press on that book as well, so this sounds like it'll be a good thing. Meanwhile, it's kind of Batman and Detective have swapped writers because Tony Daniel is now writing and drawing Detective Comics.
Oh, God.
Meh. The series will find Bruce Wayne on the trail of a dangerous serial killer known as the Gotham Ripper. Nah. Batman and Robin #1 by Peter Tomasi with art by Pat Gleason. He's been doing, what did he do recently? Gleason, he did the Martian Manhunter segments of Brightest Day, if memory serves me right. Then, laughably, Batman the Dark Knight #1, written and drawn by David Finch. We have had 2 issues of The Dark Knight since it launched last November.
So wait, my math is a little fuzzy. November was 7 months ago, and we've had 2 issues?
Yeah.
It's taken a while.
It's just a little.
It's biannual, right? Is that way?
Why are they bringing that book back? I mean, seriously.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like a time for a deck clearing exercise with the Bat books, but they haven't taken it. In fact, they seem to like,
oh my God. No,
Detective makes sense. Batman and Robin makes sense, but why does Dark Knight come back?
No, you look over. I mean, this is what I don't understand. You look at Green Lantern and you go, wow, that's a lot of titles. You got Green Lanterns, Red Lanterns, bunch of lanterns, and then Cool Lanterns. Cool Green Lanterns, and you're like, oh, well, that's like 4 books. That's a lot. And then you go to the Bat books, and there's like 8 fucking titles in the Bat family.
Well, let's see here. Only 4 of them have Batman in them.
Yeah, but every fucking former Robin has a title.
Has a book. Well, that's run through here. Birds of Prey, where we talked about this, it's coming back, and it's written by Drain Straczynski with art by Jesus Says. And they're going to be Black Canary, Poison Ivy is going to be on the team now as well. And let me just blow up this picture.
That's weird.
Some other girls I don't recognize. Moving on. Is that Manhunter? Don't care. Catwoman #1, written by Judd Winnick with art by Gilliam March. So that'll be a rather pretty comic. Batgirl #1 now. This is the hot button.
Hell yes.
Whoa, talking about interwebs.
Written by Gail Simone. So there'll probably be some discussion of this book on this show, Gail Simone, with art by Aryan Style.
So she's no longer Oracle. She's no longer in a wheelchair. But Gail Simone's writing it, so I can forgive it.
No, and brilliant thought on DC editorial, because they're like, hey, we want to make Barbara Gordon Batgirl again. This is going to be probably the most controversial book, which I think so far, other than Blue Jean Superman, which we'll talk about in a second, I'm sure, have been. And so then they're like, well, let's throw our most loved author on it. So they attached Gail Simone to it. So all of the people that would be really, really pissed off about that are totally torn now, because the people that would be pissed off about it typically love Gail Simone, so they put those two things in and sort of canceled out. And it's like, I want to be really mad.
A lot of eyes will be on this book. I mean, I don't know if you guys saw, but Gail did a very frank interview with Newsarama.
With Nerdy Bird, wasn't it?
I think so, yeah. About this topic, and it's she can't say much about the wheres and whys of it. Now, what I've seen is that Scott Snyder is saying that all of these changes are going to involve there's going to be in-story reasons for these. This is what Scott Snyder said.
Okay.
But it's really hard. This is why we probably shouldn't dwell on this too much right now, because like everything else with this reboot, we just don't really know what the deal is. We don't know if we're looking at something where, like, with the Lantern books, it seems like it's just going to be business as usual. With the Bat books, Scott Snyder saying everything is going to follow on, but there's going to be in-story reasons and in a 1 year later style type jump reason for it, or even a brand new day Spider-Man style move forward reason. But then other books like the Justice League, it's saying it's the first time they've ever come together. The Teen Titans, they're saying it's the first time the characters have met. So
it's really weird what they're doing. I mean,
we are just going to have to wait this sucker out.
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. I mean, some of this stuff, I think we can talk about what we see and what we know, but it's really hard. I hate to speculate too much, you know.
I heard a theory on it recently, but it was kind of a crappy theory, so I'm not going to repeat it here.
There's a lot of theories.
It involves something with the whole ending of Flashpoint, and it involving something with Crisis on Infinite Earths, and I'm not sure. I'm just not sure about that.
The only thing I'll say is that it's going to have to be well done, and anybody can do it. It's going to be Gail Simone, because you're taking a character that has embodied the ability for someone with a disability to do, really amazing things, and you're taking their disability away. And
she doesn't mind you. Gail Simone never takes credit for that.
Yeah.
It's John Ostrander and Chuck Dixon she really credits for that.
Yeah.
Honestly, if they're going to get me to buy another Batgirl comic, this is the perfect thing to do.
Yeah. What I'm saying is that if she can write the stories to be tactful and done well, and to, give credit to the character and not be like they're just, getting up out of the chair and walking away, essentially,
Yeah.
So, anyway.
We will see. Batwoman. Which is that was supposed to relaunch with all the other new Bat books back in November, December. It's been delayed twice, and I think it's pretty obvious by now that DC just said, "Fuck it, just we'll just wait, right? We'll just wait for you, shall we?"
What is happening to this world? Duke Nukem Forever is coming out. Batwoman is coming out. You start to think that you can depend on things not happening, and then,
I think it's pretty obvious at this point that they decided to just, after as many delays as they had, they just decided to wait for the rest of the relaunch.
That's kind of awesome. I think if you get some sort of special star on the cover, it'd make it stand out even more. It's like, this wasn't supposed to be here, but it is, so there you go.
Nightwing #1, written by Kyle Higgins with art by Eddie Barrows, so Dick Grayson is back to being Nightwing now.
I'm disappointed. I hate that.
That's going to be canceled.
It's a bit.
Why can't he be Batman? Why can't he just be Batman B?
Well, they're downscaling them. Well, actually they're not, because one second. Red Hood and the Outlaws, #1, written by Scott Lobdell with art by Kenneth Rocafort. I do like Kenneth Rocafort.
Yeah, but I mean, who's this book for?
I just don't think anybody needs a Jason Todd book,
No. Now the next one is. This one's out of nowhere.
Cassius has just asked in the chat, who gives a fuck about Batwoman?
We do. Okay.
Actually, you know,
like
I've always said about Batwoman was that for the first couple of years of her existence, she was a prop.
Mm-hmm.
But as of Detective Comics, when she took over her own series, that was an excellent story. And anybody who wants to know why you should give a fuck about Batwoman should read Elegy, just out in paperback this week, as a matter of fact. Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams. Go check that shit out if you want to know why you should care about Batwoman. Moving on. Batwing number one.
Batwing. I want to read this just for the novelty.
Batwing number one, written by Judd Winnick with art by Ben Oliver. The first black character to wear the Batman mantle.
Wow. Where did this come from?
What is this? I don't even. I mean, is this be like a Batman Inc. other Batman of another country character, or
I don't know.
What?
That would kind of be cool though if it was, but still, I don't know. There's a lot of Batman Inc. characters. Do they all deserve books?
Yeah,
I guess.
This guy doesn't even know he's pre-existing or anything. So
his name is Chalta, and I don't know. What is it? What? I mean, I don't know. This could either be really great or really, really, really bad. Wait.
Swamp Thing by Scott Snyder and art by Yannick Paquette.
I'm looking forward to that one now.
Take a look at this one with Scott.
I think I'm going to pick that one up.
Yeah, so there's that. And then we're kind of, now, with the announcement of that one, a stream of these slightly fringer, darker, supernatural / horror / mature books, Vertigo properties and things have been solicited. So we got Animal Man by Jeff Lemire. Justice League Dark, in which John Constantine, Deadman, Shade the Changing Man, and Madame Xanadu are a band of supernatural heroes who they've obviously slapped the Justice League label on to try and sell. Written by Peter Milligan. Sorry?
A group of people who are desperately trying to not get canceled. Okay.
So just don't call it Shadow Pact, and I guess it'll sell.
I mean, if this was...
by the way, that was a good book. I hate it. Yeah.
Is DC trying to do like the Avengers thing, where it's like...
That's by Peter Milligan with art by Michael Janin. Then Demon Knights by Paul Cornell with art by Diogenes Neves and Auclair Albert. What a fucking fantastic set of names. This is set in the Middle Ages, and it is an epic...
I kind of want this.
Yeah, Paul Cornell, you know?
Paul Cornell, and he he's going to be rhyming, like every page. It's going to be awesome. I kind of want that.
Then we got Frankenstein, Agent of Shade. God, they just love Frankenstein at the minute. Written by Jeff Lemire with art by Alberto Ponticelli.
Maybe if it was Grant Morrison, I'd get it.
Yeah, it seems like a very Morrison-y concept. Frankenstein and his network of strange beings work for an even stranger government organization, the Superhuman Advanced Defense Executive, SHADE. The breakout hero of 7 soldiers as you've never seen him before.
But somewhere, like the comics, the people that make Hellboy are like, hey, wait a minute. That sounds
Resurrection Man. Resurrection Man, number 1 by John Abnett and Andy Lammy.
Resurrection.
Yeah.
Not
art by
Direction Man.
Fernando Dagnino.
I don't know about you guys, but some of these 52s make me really question DC Comics. I mean...
This was one of those.
There does seem to be a lot of issues in here where you're like, really? You could do 52 issues of whatever the fuck you wanted, and this is what you've come up with?
Yeah, there's this comic I like. It's called Secret Six, and it's not getting a number 1, but we're getting Frankenstein, Agent of Shade.
Well, and like I get the Secret Six thing. We've talked about both Gail's titles. Maybe we ought to talk about that.
Yeah, okay, just take a break from this list to just discuss this.
So
it was confirmed this week that Secret Six is not coming back. I want to be pissed off, I really do. I want to be angry, but because Gail Simone has been perfectly upfront about this. So, and she's not. So, I don't really feel like I can be either. I'm just sad.
I'm sad that it's gone.
It never set the charts alight. but it was always like consistently one of the best, like most critically best received books, frequently called one of DC's best, if not their best, by people other than us, we swear. And
what really makes me sad is that, okay, if it's ending, she's going to get to do an end, and she's not mad about it. Okay, that's fine. But what really makes me sad is
give time to actually end it.
Yeah, they were sure to give her enough time, so
they fucked her over on Birds of Prey.
But,
this week's Birds of Prey was
so it's just ending. Okay.
Oh yeah. Well, the next 2 issues are a fill-in story by the new writer who's about to start over. Well, she started off a new story on this month's issue.
Yeah.
Well, what really makes me sad about this is not so much that, okay, it's ending, but, okay, they got all these number ones coming back, and one of those number ones is Suicide Squad with King Shark and Deadshot and No Catman, and you know what I mean? It's just...
Well, okay, but here's the way I look at it, and she hasn't said it, but looking at what what title she's working on, and, she's basically a 2-title-a-month writer. I mean, that's pretty much her standard, and that's fairly standard across the industry. You've got an opportunity to keep writing Secret Six, which, as McFeely just said, was not like lighting up the charts or anything, even though it had a really consistent fan base and was critically acclaimed. You can choose that title, or you could write 2 mainline DC titles like Firestorm and Batgirl. You know what I mean? That's a career choice, is what that is. That's a career...
I don't think that was a career choice. I think that was DC bringing her up. Secret Six is over. You're doing something else.
I really don't see it that. I think that. Well, I mean,
I don't know if you read her interview where she talked about the end of it, but that's what happened. They rang her up and said, "We're ending this book."
Well,
she didn't say, "I would like to stop writing Secret Six." It was editorially decided Secret Six was not coming back.
Right, but I'm saying I think that's probably why she's not broken up about it, because I think in the long run,
because she's able to end it on her terms at least.
She got to end it on her terms, and really, I mean, this is a step up. I mean, these 2 titles are a step up from what she was writing, and I think
is Firestorm really a step up from Secret Six?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like Firestorm.
Yeah.
Batgirl.
Batgirl is. Yeah. Firestorm's had how many monthly titles that got canceled?
Okay.
At this point?
Okay, go out and survey 100 people, okay, and ask them who Firestorm is and ask them who the Secret Six is. I guarantee you more random 100 people will know who Firestorm is than will know who the Secret Six is. Anyway.
Yeah, but one out of 100.
City.
Okay. But, I mean, I'm just saying, like, in general, okay?
One random person on the street knowing who Firestorm is.
I don't think they're going to know either, honestly.
Yeah.
Well, Firestorm was in Super Friends. I mean, that character has had coverage.
Yes.
Okay, that character has had coverage.
There also, are they going to know who Cyborg is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're going to know who that is versus the Secret Six. I'm just saying it's a step up in terms of character prominence. And the other big thing in terms of Firestorm for her is it's a female writer writing a male character, which is not common.
Well, I mean, the sheer lack of female creators on this relaunch is
atrocious. A travesty.
There are literally 3 female creators on this.
Yeah,
that's
2 writers, Gail Simone, and I've already forgotten who the other one is.
On what? And then again on what title too?
Hang on, I'm gonna look it up.
I wondered why Gail had posed that question a few months ago. How many female writers are writing primary male character books? Not a lot, I think was the answer.
Yeah.
I mean, Kelly Sue had that run on Osborn, which is what largely being retconned out in terms of what happened, I think, even.
No.
Or are they incorporating that still? It looked like they were going to.
Sure they are.
I hope so. But that was a limited run. That wasn't like, and she even refined the question, I think, after that. Who is writing a continuing, ongoing series of the female writer writing a male character? Like a Superman, Batman, even Animal Man, I guess.
Animal Man.
You can read Animal Man. When was the last time the Animal Man was of any importance at all?
52.
Okay.
I think it was 52, wasn't it?
Countdown into Adventure after that.
And he had a deleted scene in Blackest Night.
Okay, I can't find the names, but there are three writers. Hang on, wait a minute. Just making sure of this. 1.9% of the creators on the relaunch are women.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. That is just sad. Talk about an opportunity when you're putting out all new products to bring in writers, and so good job on that one, DC.
Well, let's carry on. So Secret Six ain't coming back. We're sad.
Yeah, I'm gonna say now I will probably cry as I read the last issue. I'm just gonna.
It's gonna be I honestly couldn't tell you the last time I was this invested in a comic. You know.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it was probably Dan Slott's She-Hulk, but when that ended, at least the comic wasn't ending. Slott was just reading it, so I was still getting.
I thought that we were getting some good She-Hulk because we were getting Peter David, and it was not.
Yeah, and so then whenever the thing was actually cancelled, it was like a bit of a bullet in the head. So it was like, fine, you know, I always
finally get rid of it.
But this is the first time in maybe even that I can remember where like a comic that I was reading does not deserve to go away, that I was actively invested in and viewed as one of the best things I read, to just poof. I mean, I'm sure it's happened to a lot of people, even very recently, whenever we had all those low-selling DC series cancelled for Flashpoint. But just personally speaking, it really fucking sucks to lose.
It does. It sucks. I mean, I'm not gonna for all.
So
the
you
stuff
can expect us to lavish lots of love on the last two issues. There's 2 more issues of Secret Six.
36 is the end. It lasted all of the Infinite Crisis books, isn't that what I think Gail said? Like the new
now I hope that DC finally realizes what a huge mistake they make, and we, at some point in the future, get that Catman monthly that I'm waiting on.
There you go. You know what's sad though is that character, like the next time you see him, he's going to be like fat and retired, and
he's going to be a Batman villain. That's what he's going to be. He's going to be a cheesy Batman villain in a cat car.
Yeah,
I guarantee it.
Anyway, okay, I can't talk about this anymore.
Next, I, Vampire, written by Josh.
What the fuck?
Exactly.
Well, here's your other female. Art by Andrea Sorrentino, or I assume that's female. I don't know. Andrea?
We'll see.
I don't know. Could be either way. Either way. Vampires threaten to bring ruin to the.
Threaten to get canceled. Okay, moving on.
Really, like what a yacht. Voodoo #1, which is Vertigo.
Voodoo from Wildcats, right?
From Wildcats, so this is one of the.
This is really weird. Wildcats characters and Wildstorm characters are becoming like DC stuff, you know.
Written by Rowan Mars with art by Sami Basri. Then we got Legion Lost by art by Fabian Nicieza with art by Pete Woods. This is a group of the Legion of the superheroes lost, trapped in the present day.
2 Legion books. This is weird.
Yeah, well, we already had 2. Adventure Comics and Legion we had them running, so we've still got 2 Legion books. And then we have the Legion book itself, written by Paul Evans with art by Francis Portela. Oh dear, Teen Titans, written by Scott Lobdell with art by Brett. What?
You know, I wanted to get a Teen Titans comic. I just hadn't jumped back on the existing comic.
You ain't get this one.
I don't know about this.
I cannot tell you how. I walked into my shop on Wednesday, and 3 different independent conversations I overheard was lauding Lobdell. It was awesome. It was just.
Why do they look like image characters? I don't get it.
The picture looks. It's hard to communicate this over the audio-based medium.
What the hell is this?
Drop it in the chat, and I'll pull it up.
The picture looks like the sort of image you would create to mock the idea of a reboot.
Okay, there we go. Let me pull this up. I'll get this up on the stream here. So
Brett Booth used to be an Image Comics artist. He did Wildstorm stuff.
It was never particularly good.
Yeah. I don't know. I want a good Teen Titans comic because I like the Teen Titans. When Jeff Johns did Teen Titans, it was good. Why can't we get something like that?
This looks terrible. I mean, I don't even
writing like 3 books as well.
What is with that?
There's a lot of duplicated creators on this. It's like J.T. Kroll is writing 2 or 3 books. Dan Jurgens is writing and drawing. So Paul Cornell is writing 2 books.
So Superboy decided to go to Hot Topic
he went to a Kryptonian tattoo parlor and he tattooed the S on his arm.
Why? What is this get up? That's Red Robin, isn't it? I mean, that's supposed to be,
that's Tim Drake, isn't it?
That's supposed to be Tim. It really does. It looks like Image did a crossover comic, and it's like, what if Image wrote DC to like do this?
The thing that really worries me is that Wally West. Please don't be Wally West.
I don't know.
Good question, actually.
Don't be Wally West.
When did Witchblade start to join?
I don't know who that is.
Jesus.
I wonder if that Raven. I mean, is Raven in it? Is she now Witchblade?
I can't even.
Static Shock.
Okay, finally, yay! Something to maybe.
Yeah, because they didn't just try to start a Static Shock series last month.
Nope.
Yeah, that didn't happen. Hawk and Dove.
Yeah.
That's figured.
Erling Gates. Not so weird that they're trying them again based on the activity of the characters recently. That I'll give them. Art by Rob Liefeld?
That's really weird.
Why?
Well,
I get it, because that's like where he started, right? Didn't he start on Hawk and Dove?
No, which Hawk and which Dove though? Because now we have 4. I'm assuming it's the man Hawk and the woman Dove. I mean,
that's on the cover.
Okay, I haven't looked at these covers, so.
Who's gonna buy this comic?
Oh my God, that is going to be one of the first ones that's going to go.
I think this 52 is going to quickly become like a 32 or something. Well,
There's a lot of things here that are not going to have power.
No, I mean,
in the face of a month of 52s.
I will be shocked if
it's going to be extra selective, and some shit is just not going anywhere.
If half of this stack makes it to the end of the year, I will be amazed.
We shall see. Digital revenue will save us all. Stormwatch #1, written by Paul Cornell, with art by Miguel Sepulveda. This is a fun one. Apollo and Midnighter from the because this isn't even Stormwatch. This is that's what Stormwatch, Wildstorm property.
Yeah, well, Stormwatch, yeah.
From the Authority, which is Wildstorm property, and the Martian Manhunter.
What's up with that?
What is up with that? I'm curious. I'm intrigued.
And it's Paul Cornell, so I'm really intrigued.
Indeed. Then we got Blackhawks #1, written by Mike Costa, with art by Ken Lashley. A modern take on the Blackhawks. It doesn't seem like a bad notion, but I don't care.
It doesn't seem great.
No, it's far from the weirdest or worst sounding thing on here. Anyway, There's a story there, It sounds like something that would probably have been told under Vertigo, where this is not part of a relaunch.
Right.
There's a story in that. Sergeant Rock and the Man of War, written by Ivan Brandon, with art by Tom Duranic. The grandson of the original Sergeant Rock assumes the command of Easy Company. Okay, yeah. I mean, it's like I can get this, and I can get the next one, All-Star Western by Jimmy Palmiotti and Justin Gray. This is basically just replacing Jonah Hex. All-Star Western.
Yeah.
The same creative team, Hex is in it, so yeah, whatever. And it's the same way that we got one Western book, and DC has always had that book floating around, and we got one War book now. Yeah, okay, I can get behind that. So why do they feel that we need half a dozen Supernatural books?
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the weird hanging up point. These two I can get behind, Deathstroke #1. Who thought that we would see that come back? Written by Kyle Higgins, art by Joe Bennett and Art Sibbert.
I thought part of his character was he was dying of cancer. Wouldn't he have died 10 years ago by now?
He launched.
Yeah.
He launched without cancer, the ultimate cure.
Just
about
that. That's important.
Grifter.
Yes, I read an issue of Deathstroke. I'm ashamed.
He's probably better now. Grifter #1, written by Nathan Edmondson, with art by Kafu and Bit.
Yeah.
These Wildcat characters are just blowing my mind. I don't know why.
Why?
Digital.
OMAC by Dan Didio, with art by Keith Giffen and Scott
Who wanted
Cuthbert.
that?
I don't know. I can get behind the idea of this one.
Kind of like classic OMAC, isn't it? It kind of looks
this
more
is
like
somewhere between the two. This is somewhere between Kirby's OMAC and a more modern OMAC. There could be something of merit to this. Suicide Squad, which I hate on principle.
What? Why? Why? And that's Harley Quinn on the cover.
Oh,
what
yeah.
Oh, my
principle
God.
aside, shitty redesign of Harley Quinn is like nothing. Because apparently one of the edicts that came down was that all DC heroines will now wear trousers.
Yes. All pants.
Everybody is wearing trousers, but it appears that they took the material to make all their trousers from Harley's outfit.
Yeah, oh, God. I mean, that's just, I get it, that character.
I've never got the idea of stripping Harley Quinn down.
No, not that. I get that the character is supposed to have a certain, maybe, like, sexually appealing element, but it wasn't because of her clothes. I don't know.
Yeah, Harley's thing was that she could be sexy because she was crazy.
Right, and we all know that crazy women.
Kind of sexiness, not in a complete head-to-toe body sucking. But you count the number of fucking people that will be dressed up like this at the next big con.
And since when did
God, yeah.
And why is King Shark now a hammerhead shark?
Yeah, what the fucking why is Dead Shark wearing
why is he have
200 pounds of armor?
Yeah, what's that cyborg helmet?
I hate it on principle so much. Blue Beetle #1 happened also. I told you hard.
He tries to drive us through this. Yeah, I might look at that.
Yeah, how long before Blue Beetle's gone again?
6 issues?
Yeah, I get it. I mean, it's nice for IMA's fans that they're still doing something with him, because people were getting worried when he wasn't in the Justice League International lineup. But that's because they are desperately trying to overreach themselves again and insist that this character merits an ongoing series when history says otherwise.
Yeah.
Action. No, and then we get into final one.
Okay, here we
go.
go.
The Super Books. Action Comics #1 by Grant Morrison with art by Rags Morales. Signed
Hell yes.
Fuck off. Yes,
Thanks.
please.
Definitely.
Gene. Gene Pink.
Well, this is about reintroducing Superman. Again, this story is the momentous first issue that will set in motion the history of the DC universe as Superman defends a world that doesn't trust their first superhero. So unclear if this is set in the past and it's about Superman's reintroduction, or if the modern day of this new rebooted DC universe will involve Superman appearing for the first time. Really hard to know. Morrison said like a while back when he was talking about Superman that he never got the chance to do him again. He'd want to do the really early Superman that could only survive a bursting shell and leap an eighth of a mile and stuff like that. The socialist Superman. And that may well be what we're going to get out of this.
That makes me hate him even more. I don't know.
Sign me up for this. I'm going to check this out. And I was also going to check out Superman, the Man of Tomorrow, when it was announced that it was being written and drawn by George Perez. But it's only being written by George Perez with art by Jesus Marino.
With covers by George Perez. What's up with that?
Yeah, it's still on my maybe pile, I have to say.
I'm going to get it, but what's up with that?
That I would be buying 2 Superman comics. What?
I know.
Heck, universe.
Yeah.
Supergirl. Written by Michael Green and with art by Muhammad Asrar. Her new costume is nice, actually, but she's lacking in the Trow department.
I kind of want this. I kind of want to get the Super Books. But not Superboy. Superboy looks like crap.
Our final book, Superboy #1, written by the ever-present Scott Lobdell, with art by R.B. Silva and Rob Lean. They thought he was a failed experiment grown from a combination of Kryptonian and human DNA, but when the scope of his stunning powers was revealed, he became a deadly weapon.
And cancelled.
Yeah. I want my black shirt Seabird Boy back. What's up with this?
And that
is it?
52 books. That is all of them. I'm over them.
I mean, I don't know. Like I said, we don't know a lot. The titles that I think may be boring, may be great. And like I said, the other thing, and like we talked about last week, a lot of this has to do with the digital download launch. And I think that they are really throwing a lot out there and trying to see, and I hate to say this, I would not be surprised if some of these issues don't go in digital and not print. Ooh, I hate to say that.
That was weird.
But that could happen. If they see the numbers are higher in digital than they are in print, why would they put the print out? Switch it to digital. That's cheaper. So
we'd be living in a strange world.
I don't know. Of course, my shop owner was complaining about not being able to sell issues back to the shop, to the publisher, but I don't know.
It is a strange time.
Yep, all things are changing. So anyway, I don't know. I mean, there's some stuff in there I'm definitely going to pick up. I'm a little sad that an individual booster title is going away, but hey, I'm all for the JLI, so that'll be cool.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be wait and see. September's going to be a lot of fun, I have to say.
Justice League, Aquaman, Action Comics. Those are my 3 definite.
I'm really going to...
Sounds like it.
I sense that I will spend a good hour in my shop the day the new pull list comes out, and I'll just be like...
Batgirl, Batwoman, Superman. Those are my maybes. Everything else is sort of up in the air. And there's some of them definitely not touching the earth.
I think I'll do the Batwoman.
Definitely doing Batgirl, definitely doing Firestorm, definitely doing the Superman books.
I don't really, the only reason I was eating the Batman and Robin is because it was Dick and Damian. So it's not going to be that anymore. I don't care.
It's going to be Bruce and Damian.
Right, and I'm like, I don't care. Bruce and Damian's not that interesting to me for some reason, unless they make it interesting. But anyway, we'll wait and see. Wow, that's a lot of news. I guess we can talk about comics.
Let's move on to that.
Let's review some comics. So, Triplets. What you got, sir?
Okay, what am I reviewing again? I'm reviewing Ultimate Spider-Man. It's been a while.
We basically tell you what you're going to review. All right, look, this is what you got. We always give him the leftovers.
I liked these comics. I thought New Avengers was better than it's normally been. Because we kind of got... Huh?
Were you drunk when you read it?
No, I mean, seriously, I thought it was better than regular.
Okay.
And we got kind of an ending. Sort of an ending.
Sort of an ending.
I think it's an ending of this story at least. But let's just jump into New Avengers. So did you guys read it?
Yep.
Yes.
So we know JD did not like it. Did you like it?
I mean, I didn't. I don't want to. Saying I didn't like it may be too strong. It was just not. It's continued to not impress me. The beginning of this run has been far better than the last few episodes or issues. So maybe I'm just down on it because I've been down on it. So I don't know.
It's obviously not as good as those issues we got back at the beginning of this new Avengers comic. But I don't think it was bad. I think it was. I thought it was pretty good because we can see a lot of the stuff that they've been building up, like the stuff with the Nick Fury 1950s story. We finally got to see where that's been going and how that's tying in with this stuff. And we got the ending of what's going on with Mockingbird. Are they going to kill her? Are they not going to kill her? No, I guess they're not going to kill her.
No, worse than that. She'll be fucking immortal.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't. Did you guys even care anything about Mockingbird? I mean, as a character,
not particularly. To be honest,
is it possible this could actually make the character more interesting?
No,
I wouldn't go that far. No.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say no.
But basically, what's going on is, obviously, Mockingbird, she got shot during the whole situation with the Avengers trying to take down this group from a terrorist cell of Hammer or something that's led by Suspiria. Is that her name?
Superior.
Suspiria? What? Yeah. And she went. She's run off somewhere. She's missing. They're trying to find her, and they've got one of her people. And at the beginning of the issue, it's basically Wolverine and Hawkeye's trying to get some information out of her. What exactly happens in this issue?
This is a lot of people standing around talking about it. I don't think there's any point giving this a blow by blow.
Yeah, the interrogation was kind of fun, sort of. Yeah. I mean, that was intense. But yeah, there's a lot of
people standing around figuring things out. And
a lot of people trying to figure things out, and they find out where she's at because what's her name? Victoria.
Yeah, and
she just calls Luke Cage on the phone and says, "Oh yeah, she's going to be here, be there." So okay, so the first part of the issue doesn't really matter because someone just told them where she's going to be. But
the action going into the middle sequence is kind of nice, especially when Luke throws Iron Fist through like the plane.
I hate when you throw me.
Yeah, but
do it anyhow.
I was like, but you got to admit, it looks pretty cool.
And they blew everybody up so that they could get this like half-page image of the new Avengers in like half burn-off, tore-up clothing.
Yeah. It's just like a big fight where they go after it, and they find out that what's tied with the 50 story and the modern story is the thing that she has. It's like a recreation of the super soldier serum. It's that Captain America that showed up in the 50 story, like what was it, like last issue or a couple issues back. He was the product of that new super soldier serum, and it's a combination of what they assume is the Steve Rogers serum and what is it called, the Infinity
formula.
Yeah. And it basically means that you're going to make some dude that, from like one of the descriptions was, can take a gunshot to the chest, and he'll also live forever.
Yeah.
So
I don't know when the Infinity Formula was last brought up in anything mainstream. I can tell you when it was last brought up. It was last brought up in S.H.I.E.L.D. It's what's keeping Nostradamus alive in the hidden city underneath Rome at the hands of evil genius Isaac Newton. But I don't know when it was last actually brought up in anything that was mainstream and mattered. And I've always understood that Nick Fury needed periodic injections of it as well, so the bit that they go through at the end of this makes a lot of sense to me. But, correct me if I'm wrong here, but was it mentioned that Superior had anything at all over the course of the last 5 issues?
No, I don't
Was what she was doing even remotely fucking touched upon?
I don't think it
was. Any type of correlation between these two stories?
No.
And
the
only thing,
the whole thing out of thin air.
The only thing we got though is what Victoria told them to hit this place, and they don't know why, right? I mean, so I assume she knew that this is what she was doing, and I assume that it's like something like that. But other than that, no, it was not mentioned.
But that doesn't make any sense either, because then when you get to the end, although the other moment I'll point out that was kind of fun is when she's trying to like trade for whatever she's got in the case for her freedom or whatever, and then like Doctor Strange just does a little bit of magic and takes it back.
That was awesome.
And then she gets knocked out. But
she's like, I'm going to want my lawyer.
But the reason I say that is because when you get all the way to the end, then you see the note left in her cell on the raft, which is the goblin image, and she says that apparently this was all maybe set up by Victoria Hands. So.
Bitch!
Yeah.
Spider-Man was right.
Listen to Spider-Man.
T-shirts right now. Spider-Man was right.
Spider-Man was right. He's always right. Spider-Man is awesome.
Spider-Man knows the poisonous influence that Norman Osborn has on anybody.
Yeah, if anybody knows, he does. So
listen to Spider-Man.
So is Mockingbird going to be able to take a bullet to the chest like the Super Captain America?
I don't know. Let's find out. Let's shoot her a lot and see what happens.
I think she's going to be like the person that's like, well, we teased it, we almost killed her off, and now she's going to be like dropped in the middle of bombs and explosions, and she can't die. I think that's why they did this. Like, oh yeah, you can't kill her off again, Marvel, because now she can't die. That's kind of funny. I think I like that about it.
It's like that Legion of Superman guy that was like invulnerable that just kept getting dropped in the middle of stuff to block explosions. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but Ultimate Spider-Man came out.
Oh, good.
The death of Spider-Man.
Did he die yet?
More.
Spidey still alive.
Oh, he's still alive. Damn it. That was really
Spidey Death Watch.
Here's your Spider-Man Deadpool. Just
he ain't dead yet, but he ain't looking too good. In fact, at the beginning of the issue, he's basically trying to scare the Sinister Six into surrendering, because he's thinking, dude, I'm hurting bad or something, and he's basically saying,
trying to spill out of his sight.
He's like, if you guys give up, I'll tell them that you gave up, The
I got all the other superheroes behind me. I'm talking all of them. Captain America, Thor, Iron Man, a giant guy, purple arrow and the guy with the thing that blinks.
Blinks. Wow.
Oh God! And they basically just say, it's bullshit. Something's not right here. He's messed up. Get him. They all just jump him and try to attack him. He does a little part here though, where there's like a fire hydrant that's leaking, and he just kind of sprays them with it. And hey, you've got a sand guy, you've got a guy with electricity, and the guy with electricity shocks the other guys, and the sand guy turns into mud. That was kind of smart.
And then he aligned Sean Electro as well, who deserved it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's a big fight for the most part. But there's also little stuff that's going on in the background where, if you remember that Aunt May and Gwen, they were leaving. Basically he called them and told them that, hey, get out of the house, anywhere I live. The Sinister Six is out. They're gonna come and kill me or something. Well, they've left. They're out, driving away from town or something. And Spidey's neighborhood is like there, and they're like watching him. And of course, Spidey doesn't have his mask on, so everybody's seeing, hey, that's Peter Parker. He's Spider-Man. He's fighting the Sinister Six, and they are kicking his ass. Well, one of the neighbors calls Aunt May on her cell phone and tells her, May, I don't know how to tell you this, but your nephew is Spider-Man, and he's being killed right now by Sinister Six.
Wow.
I shouldn't be laughing.
That's the phone call you want.
Yeah. So she U-turns it and she heads back, of course, because Peter's in danger. The fight's continuing. He's basically getting the crap kicked out of him. Sandman's really getting some hits on him. Electro gets back up and he's like, okay, nobody's gonna kill him but me. I'm going to take it. And he shoots Sandman and says, no, it's going to be me. And you have this little scene that's kind of awesome where Spidey's like, Electro, I always meant to tell you, you were my greatest adversary, and it was an honor to battle you. Oh wait, that wasn't you. I barely ever gave you a second's thought. I hope you enjoyed that. And we think okay, Electro's gonna get the killing blow on him, but no, somebody off panel shoots Electro. Shoots him
straight
up,
ordinary gun right through the chest.
Wow. Gun.
Who does that in real life? I'll tell you who does that in comics. Triplet, tell him who does that in comics.
Aunt May. She's got a gun.
Wow. May's got a gun.
Yeah.
Wow.
Of course, when she does that, Electro explodes and electricity goes everywhere, and it takes out the rest of the Sinister Six guys. I mean, they're out, their lights are just out. Spidey's collapsed, he's about had it. They've called, an ambulance to come, and but obviously nobody's come yet. And then what happens next? A shadow looms over Aunt May as she holds Peter Parker. And who is it? The Green Goblin has woken up.
Uh-oh.
Oh, shit.
Uh-oh.
That's not good.
I don't know about you guys, but I think Spidey's going to die in the next issue.
He might die.
He might actually
starting to buy into the notion. Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
crazy. It can happen.
I think he really is going to die this time.
Maybe.
They have called it the death of Spider-Man, so, I mean,
And they said that the dude that's coming back when the book gets relaunched is not Peter Parker. They've said that.
Wow.
We'll see. I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there's too much to say about this issue. There's a couple of awesome moments in it, but really, it is like that penultimate issue of Fantastic Four before Johnny died. It was like, oh, what's going to happen? Is he dead yet? No, he's not dead yet. Right, next issue. There's that.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like they've dragged it out the last couple of issues, but it kind of started strong. But it's they do this yeah.
So
it's not bad.
They revealed Peter's identity. Does this mean we're gonna have to do the whole one more day thing with
No,
what if he's
dead? Identity. And truly, it will be the death of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Metaphorically speaking.
Well played. He's gonna dye his hair blonde and call himself Ben Reilly.
The die of Spider-Man.
Oh, the die of Spider-Man. Oh, gee.
I would appreciate that if they did that. Just saying.
No.
All right.
Okay. So there you go.
That's all I have to read. It was
all right.
a week.
So, I have to start off with Booster because I like Booster. I don't know. This is not a surprise. And he's the only character that's surviving in the Flashpoint world, other than the Flash. So, take a nap. Anyway, and oh my God,
people in the video.
things are not looking good for Booster. Skeets is like fried, and Doomsday is fighting Booster, which is not good, considering that he ripped his arm off like last time they fought.
Seriously, is things ever looking good for Booster?
No, usually they're just in a perpetual state of not good.
I mean, things are always look good towards Booster. He always sees himself as, I'm the man, but things are never looked good for Booster. So
Booster's fighting Doomsday, and one of the things he does notice is that he's holding back a bit, and then he gets really shocked when Doomsday says, "My name is General Nathaniel Adam."
Gasp!
What? Yeah. So in this world, Doomsday was captured by the military, and they created a psychic control harness for him that's piloted by Nathaniel Adam, who did not become Captain Adam, and he's just an old guy in the military. Yeah. And they use Doomsday sort of like a living weapon.
So can I buy that Flashpoint book, like Captain Adam Doomsday?
No. Who would buy that?
They're like the most interesting ideas that are ones that aren't books.
I know. It's like, that sounds awesome, but you can't read it.
Right, Captain. It would be called Captain Adam Doomsday Agent. Okay, what's the shield equivalent in DC? Captain Adam Doomsday Agent of, I don't know, something. Black Hawk.
That's Captain Adam Doomsday Agent of.
They're too busy with some of their other stellar titles like Deathstroke and
That came out this week, and I did actually read that. I'm not going to talk about it later, but it's pretty decent.
Yeah.
I quite enjoyed it.
Anyway, so that sounds awesome, and you can't read about it in the Flashpoint series.
Damn it!
But Booster ends up saving this seemingly bystander woman, who kind of gets just caught in the crossfire, who turns out to be not so much of a bystander. He finally gets her to trust her. And as they go out, I can't remember if it's like her place or someplace they're at, but anyway, Booster hacks into a computer and basically figures out the same thing that Barry did, which is that everything's different. And he basically figures out the same thing that Barry does too, and figures out that like Batman, for some reason, they seem to think that of all the insanity, Batman is the most reasonable person to seek out. So
the guy that drops people off of roofs.
Yeah, well what's great is like the panel here is like kind of a one-page splash of the different characters, and you see this very conquerous looking Aquaman and Wonder Woman holding her sword, and Captain Thunder and everything. And then there's Batman down here, and Batman is running down a railroad track, and if you don't look real close you might miss that he's running away from a dude that he has chained to the railroad trails, and a train is coming. So he's got like these hand shackles on that's looped around like the train rail, and he's looking back at the train as the train is like right on top of him, and Batman's running away.
Why can't he get one of these DC relaunch #1s? I want that Batman to have a comic.
I'm telling you, this character must come back in a future crossover.
I was waiting to like a reoccurring character in Batman Inc.
Oh my God!
It's like,
yes.
We expanded the Batman Inc. into the multiverse. We were ready for Thomas Wayne to join Batman Inc.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, Grant Morrison.
But Booster also comes to the same conclusion that Barry did, which is that it's Professor Zoom, because you may not remember, but going back to Time Masters, when they were looking for and not doing a very good job of looking for Bruce, they got intercepted by Professor Zoom at Vanishing Point, and that's how Booster figures out that Zoom must be the one responsible for changing everything. So Booster makes his way to Gotham because he wants to hook up with Batman as well, and gets intercepted by Nathaniel Adam Doomsday again. They struggle and fight, but it turns out that this woman that he had saved actually has powers as well. And based on the fact that she says she's Greek, I'm assuming it may be Donna. It's Donna Troy, right? Is like the other Wonder Woman character.
Yeah.
Maybe her. I don't know. It's hard to say. She has this like green light. So I don't know. It's kind of weird, but she can fly and stuff. And she power blasts the plane that Nathaniel's flying on, where the control harness is for Doomsday, which breaks their control. And Doomsday regains his own composure.
That's not good.
Which could be very bad if he starts to just rip his green costume off and say, "Grrrr."
And this is a world that doesn't have Superman, right?
Yeah, Superman is
So
otherwise.
we're screwed.
Yeah, the cover of the next issue is Doomsday holding the chest of Booster's costume, so that could be bad. Could be very, very bad. So that's Booster. I'm not gonna get any more Booster after this run, so I'm gonna enjoy this run.
It'll be okay.
You'll still get Booster in a team comic.
Justice League's going to be awesome. Okay, JD? Justice League is going to be awesome. Think about that. Guy Gardner, Booster, Batman. It'll be awesome.
It has a very good collection of characters, and Jurgens will be there as well. So I'm actually really excited. So I think that'll be good. Moving on, it's Deadpool, Fear Itself.
Hey-o.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
Finally, Chris Hastings taking over the 3-part Deadpool run for Fear Itself. Now, as we mentioned before, Chris Hastings was the writer for Dr. McNinja, which I really loved a long time ago and read for quite a while and then didn't.
That's not a very good recommendation.
I
read
loved
it a while ago and then I didn't.
And then I got busy and quit.
I read it until I didn't.
Like, if I pay money for it, this is the weird thing. Like, when I pay for it, like I pay for these comics, I'm far better about reading them. But, like for an online comic, it's like, when I have to go, like, it's my free time, and I don't know, for some reason, that's hard. You would think because it's free, I would gobble it up, but I think it's the investment. But anyway, Deadpool is trying to safeguard people's homes against the superhuman threats that may encompass them as his current scheme. And tells these people, so he's in like the living room of these people, and he's telling them something about all the security measures he's put on the home, and saying he's reinforced the walls, and even Juggernaut couldn't break through as Juggernaut breaks through the wall. And of course, this is the hammer-endowed Juggernaut, who basically leaves a Juggernaut hole through all the walls of the home.
How many times can we say Juggernaut in this paragraph?
Yeah. So, yeah. But it's kind of hilarious. Like, there's this line of Juggernaut-sized holes. But anyway, he had 2 guys working for him that end up, leaving, and he gets fired off the job and doesn't get paid as well. But as he's leaving, a shadowy figure blows up the van that the other guys that had been working for him were in. So bits of van and stuff go flying, and Deadpool gets hit in the head by a hammer. A regular hammer. A regular
like a hardware store
like
hammer?
Like a sledgehammer, yeah.
Like sledgehammer,
Like a sledgehammer, yeah. But this gives Deadpool a great idea. He's like, maybe if I could trick a villain into getting a hammer and I beat them, then that would get me some notoriety. He said, because his line here is, if an A-rated villain plus an A-rated hammer makes an A-plus unbeatable villain, then an F-rated hammer plus...
What?
So he takes the hammer back home and basically bedazzles it.
Awesome.
He puts a bunch of jewelry and beads and all kinds of shit on it. And so now the odd thing is that our other workmen survived the explosion in the van, which seems odd. And then they said that they'll have to come back for something later because they were being chased by this shadowy bug person figure. But anyway, so Deadpool decides he has to find someone to give it to, and he goes through a bunch of villains, and he finally settles on Walrus.
Yeah!
So Walrus is currently touring through monster truck rallies, and God, this is the worst scheme ever. He's sabotaging the monster trucks, and then while the driver is either injured or dead or whatever, he's robbing their lockers. Like basically picking their wallets in his Walrus costume. Oh my God. And then he goes and takes their like rental cards, like their movie rental cards, and then checks out a bunch of movies on their cards, which is how Deadpool tracks him down, because he basically correlates the monster truck accidents that have been happening across the country to rentals that are not returned of the monster truck drivers. Yes. And that's how he tracks down the Walrus.
Brilliant.
So then what he does is tapes a bunch of dynamite and paper around his hammer that he made and drops it in front of the Walrus. It explodes to make him think it's one of these, special hammers, which he picks it up and, of course, thinks it is. And he takes it home and smashes something, and he's like, well, that didn't seem any better than I could have done on my own. So he goes, next door, knocks down the wall, this couple that's in there, walks into their bathroom, smashes their toilet, and he's like, yeah, that's about the same. So then Deadpool shows up in, this witch costume thing and tells him he has to take the hammer because he's the specter of mass destruction. And that the Walrus is going to be one of the bearers of the Hammer of Destruction. Now, the interesting thing is the Walrus decides that he's going to have to take the hammer and that he's going to follow the lead of this specter or whatever. But the last panel is these two repair guys, and they're looking for whatever it was that they were looking for, which turns out to be the hammer. So even though this may not be one of, the special hammers, apparently this hammer does have some sort of special properties, which is very Deadpool-like, because it would be just like him to come up with some crazy scheme that would end up having a whole nother deal. Now, I have to say, the elements that I have described are really the funny moments, but part of what makes Deadpool interesting to me is the writing in terms of, how Deadpool talks to himself and what he talks about. And that's a little bit lackey, but I'll give Chris Hastings that. I mean, this is his first, write on the book. A lot of times when a writer comes onto a book like that, they kind of have to get into that stride and get into that motion. So I don't know. I'll stick with it. I'll probably read this whole series, just because I like Deadpool and because I like Chris Hastings. And I wouldn't even mind taking over one of the plethora of Deadpool series.
There is only one Deadpool series.
Oh, is there only now? We're only down to one.
Did they cancel them all?
They finally got it down to one.
They canceled all the others. There's just Deadpool now.
So yeah.
Does he really need more than one book?
Probably not. But like I said, I think that Chris Hastings could do
well.
There is some funny shit in this. I am not lying. I mean, obviously, just the description of it is pretty hilarious. So
that sounded awesome.
It's pretty funny. I mean, I'm not, like I said, the elements are funny. It's the other thing that makes But notice that those things were not necessarily things that are particularly Deadpool funny. It's other things that other characters are doing that are funny.
Yeah, no, that sounds a lot more like Joe Kelly's Deadpool.
Yeah.
That sounds like where Deadpool forced other characters into ridiculous scenarios.
And that could work, and I think it can. And that's why I said the only little thing is that I really want to see Deadpool be funnier in his own head, and that's going to that third thought bubble to me is always when the conversation in Deadpool's head gets good, and that only happens once or twice.
See, fuck that third thought bubble as far as I'm concerned.
No,
I don't like that, and I never have. It was a completely unnecessary, weird little addition that they did to Deadpool's character when Daniel Way started writing him, and I have no lost love for it at all.
So, anyway, we'll see. Like I said, it's funny. There's good stuff in there, and I'm waiting to see all of this grand plan backfire in Deadpool, as it usually does. So, There you go. There's my two. What you got, McFeely?
Okay, well, I'll start off by talking about the Fear Itself crossover as well. I'm talking about Fear Itself Fearsome 4. This is the definitely the quirkiest of the Fear Itself tie-ins thus far, in which She-Hulk, Howard the Duck, Nighthawk, and Frankenstein team up to stop Man-Thing, who has gone on a
damn, I forgot about that book.
who has gone on a rampage throughout New York as a consequence of the excess amounts of fear currently flying around. Because, as we all know, whatever knows fear burns at the touch of the Man-Thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah. So this is written by Brandon Montclair, who I don't know, and it is primarily drawn, I didn't realize there's a team of artists on this. We've got Michael Kaluta and Ryan Bodenheim share the duties on this. And, I guess sort of how best to break this down, because there's... Well, we kick off with Man-Thing doing a bit of rampaging. Yes, some people die. He is out of control with all of the fear. And Howard the Duck, his oldest friend, he's called in She-Hulk to get some help in trying to corral him, because Howard is like, if Man-Thing needs to be put down, he's going to be the one that's going to have to do. Because the Man-Thing, if you don't, the Man-Thing is on the Thunderbolts lately. They're using the Man-Thing's, when I say on the Thunderbolts, I mean they keep him in a pen, and he doesn't try to get out. So
they keep him on a chained leash.
They're using his control over the nexus of all realities to facilitate teleportation jumps into combat zones and where they need to be. So Howard, they're busy dealing with the fact that one of their other team members, Juggernaut, has turned into one of the worthy and has caused a massive breakout at the raft. So they're a little too busy to deal with the marauding Man-Thing. So Howard has decided that if someone is going to be the one to have to take him down, if that's what it comes to, he wants to be the one to do it. So he and She-Hulk are out doing that, and then Nighthawk is also trying to deal with all the marauding fear-mongers who are out there. You get a quick pocketed history of Nighthawk, because you probably need it, frankly, because it's Nighthawk.
Dude, it's Nighthawk, Squadron Supreme. Oh my god.
Stuff like that. And he eventually crosses paths with them, and then they come upon Frankenstein, who is there for no reason whatsoever. What the hell is Frankenstein doing in New York? And don't tell me nexus of all realities. There's no actual reason given for why Frankenstein is in New York.
It's a hellmouth, is what it is.
He is the subject of some fearful reactions from people. Howard loses his rag a bit because nobody will listen to him. Bit of a brawl erupts until Man-Thing appears, and the issue concludes with Man-Thing using his control over the nexus of realities to start subjecting our heroes to warping reality and turns them into a team of monstrosities. Now that's your overview, because there's things to be said. Now the use of characters on this is quite smart, because Man-Thing is perhaps not the first choice you would make when you stop and think about Man-Thing and how he's related to fear. He's an eminently logical choice to put up to the fore in a story like this. And they do it because he is on a complete rampage, unable to control himself, burning anybody who gets into range that is filled with fear. And Nighthawk, now, if you don't know Nighthawk, one of the important things to tell you about Nighthawk is that when he was created, I think back in the 60s, pretty sure it was the 60s, maybe the 70s, he was a member of this. Now, there have been a couple of Nighthawks, some of them have been from another dimension. This particular Nighthawk is from our dimension. But there is also a Nighthawk in the Squadron Supreme. And the Squadron Supreme are from another dimension. They are a Justice League analogy. And Nighthawk is their Batman. So this issue, this use of Nighthawk...
I think he was also president in Squadron Supreme.
He was president at one point.
So awesome. We should do an episode on Squadron Supreme. I love that comic.
I love Squadron Supreme. Squadron Supreme is fantastic. This is not the Squadron Supreme, Nighthawk, though.
Yeah.
But what they do here is they revisit the real idea, which has never really been done since, of him being a Batman analog, where he is thrust into the middle of this world gone mad with fear, and he turns Batman. he becomes a superhero who uses fear. They totally avail of his connection to Batman to do something that I don't think has really been done with the character before. That really makes a lot of sense and makes him work in this scenario. Like there's a scene he's beating up a bunch of thugs, and he's obviously winning. But then one of them, the last standing one, pulls a gun on him, and everything grinds to a halt, and it's like crap. And it's all done Frank Miller-esque internal narration. The cold chill of indecision freezes you in your tracks, that sort of stuff. Wow. But then Nighthawk looks up at him and he just starts laughing at him. And obviously the guy starts to lose it. I know what you're thinking. I'm a superhero. Maybe I'm bulletproof. Or maybe I have hyperspeed to dodge your shot. Or maybe you will just miss. And what do you do then? Are you going to take your shot? And the guy can't bring it. The guy gets just that momentary jolt of fear allows Nighthawk to rush him and overpower him. And this convinces Nighthawk to do something he's never really done before, which is to be the Batman XP he always was and use fear. Takes the guy down. You should have taken that shot. So that's cool. And what's also fun is that the sequences that are centering on Man-Thing solo and centering on Nighthawk solo, they're the ones that are done in this rather sketchy, loose style by Kaluta. So these are the characters that use fear and that are all about fear. These are the ones that are the slightly more frenetic, loose style that has room to sort of whirl out from looking normal into looking something more monstrous, something befitting the tone. While the sections with Howard and She-Hulk are the ones that are drawn by Bodenheim, which is the more straightforward. I mean, I'm not dying about his rendition of Howard. It shoots for the more realistic Howard that, I think that was partially due to Disney for a while when they had to stop drawing Howard looking like Donald Duck. But I think that was repealed. Well, Disney owning Marvel now, I don't know. But not big on his rendition of Howard. She-Hulk and Frankenstein are the ones who don't have much of a place in this story yet. But definitely as monsters as monsters among men, there's definite room for them to fit in this story in future issues and, have a presence. Howard, I love Howard the Duck. No, I mean, Howard the Duck, if you've never read any Howard the Duck, you're doing yourself a tremendous disservice for starters. Howard the Duck's, Steve Gerber's Howard the Duck is fantastic. If you don't know anything about Howard, and a lot of people don't, the temptation is to believe that it was just a funny animal comic and that he's just a funny animal. But that's not what it ever was. In Steve Gerber's Howard, the fact that Howard was a duck was never the point. It allowed for some jokes, but the point of Howard was that he was an outsider. Howard was trapped in a world he never made, as they said, and that allowed him to be Steve Gerber's mirror held up to the world. Howard, as an outsider, somebody who came from a completely other dimension, was free to comment on the stupidities and eccentricities and the wonderfulness of people, mostly the stupidities and eccentricities that Steve Gerber were talking about, freely, without just because of that's stupid, you're stupid, what the fuck, shut up, oh my god, I'm having a nervous breakdown. Howard had a nervous breakdown because of the stupidity of people at one point in Steve Gerber's Howard the Duck. That is what Howard was. So that makes Howard a tremendous character to throw into the middle of this sphere itself, in as much as Sphere itself wants to make itself be about any kind of issues. I mean, as we know from reading Sphere itself, they've actually avoided using any real life things, bar the veiled reference to the Ground Zero Mosque in the first issue. But a lot of the run-up to Fear itself was like, oh, the world is in the crapper, you've all got good reason to be afraid, society is teetering on the edge, and the idea is that this is the spirit, the serpent is the final push that has sort of sent a society on the edge over into complete madness. So the fact that a lot of what's driving people into fear here is just that final push, and they're acting on pre-existing fears and all the rest of it, makes Howard a fantastic prism for the story to be filtered through, because this is just more human shit as far as Howard is concerned. And he just really loses the head when nobody will listen to him at one point in this story. And then when Man-Thing mutates everybody at the end, it's a sudden surprise set of 3 pages by Simon Bisley, who Americans may not be too familiar with. He did Lobo back in the 90s, but British readers or listeners will be more familiar with him from 2000 AD.
Judge Dredd. He did some Judge Dredd.
Slanya as well.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
Probably to America. But yeah, so there's a rather surprising appearance by him for some truly manic final 3 pages. So on the whole, it's not the best Fear Itself tie-in I've read. It's certainly one of the most different, and while it's like on the surface pretty pedestrian, you know, because it's like, some people fight some people, and then they team up to fight some more people, and then rare. You know, but there are some really, like, interesting ideas in presentation in here, like from the different artists used to convey the different characters with the different motives and what they're built around. And the use of Howard, just like as a filter for the story to come at you through, is definitely a point in its favor, in my opinion. Not the quirky, maybe funny story that you would have expected from a description based on Howard the Duck, She-Hulk, Nighthawk, and Frankenstein team up to fight Man-Thing, or covers like it's shown for the second issue here, where they're homaging Fantastic Four #1 with all the characters fighting Man-Thing. But I'll be back for the next one of these to see where the ideas grow. There's some very interesting ideas buried in that one. Not the best, but definitely the most unusual, and I think worth a little look. And then the other one I'm doing today is another new one, Mystery Man #1, also from Marvel.
Ooh.
Yes, this one is a pulp story. That's not a pulp story, but it's a story about the heroes of the 1930s. Now, because Marvel doesn't have any heroes of the 1930s, these are all new characters. This is written by David Liss, who is, I believe, writing Black Panther at the minute when he took over Daredevil. And it's drawn by Patrick Zurcher, who I actually didn't notice until I finished reading the story and the credits came up. And I was like, oh, Patrick Zurcher, that's cool, because I like Patrick Zurcher. This is set in 1932. The Depression has landed. The division between rich and poor is widening. And our central figure is a gentleman thief, mystery man style figure called the Operative, who robs from the rich and shares his profits with the poor, trying to cover that gulf. And by day, he's the shadow, basically. You know, by day he is Lamont Cranston, wealthy gadabout. Because he's a pulp hero. That's the whole point of the thing. This story is something of a collision of eras. So the Operative is our POV character, and he's the socialite, but his girlfriend Alice is an actress who's dragged herself up, and she wants to try and be better for him. Unfortunately, a mysterious figure known as the General lures her away onto his boat and kills her.
Oh,
just like that. That's within the first 3 pages. And because this is the 1930s, the coppers try to pin the whole mess on him. What's the dude's name? I keep saying the Operative, but his name is Dennis. His name is Dennis Piper. The coppers try to pin the whole thing on Dennis, but he overpowers them, and he is now on the run, trying to prove his innocence with the help of Sally. Alice's her name again? I've forgotten her name. Sally is her friend, and Alice is her name, yeah. With the help of Alice's sister and the first superpowered hero that has come to public knowledge, the Revenant, a strange, misty figure who appears from the fog to strike justice into the hearts of evildoers.
They should call him the Fog Man. That'd be awesome.
Less appealing.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's your basic overview. He's not a masked mystery man. You know, he's a gentleman thief, shadow, phantom reporter style, fedora, trench coat style mystery man pulp hero of the 30s. While the Revenant represents superheroes, superhumans, and in a rather genre-busting approach, is black. You know, there's at one point when someone says, "I've heard that he's Khaled, comments like that. Yeah, then the dude catches a bullet in his teeth at one point, so that's pretty badass.
Wow.
It's as I say, it's a bit of a collision of genres. You've got the mystery man, you've got the superhero, and then dropped in the middle of this as well is the general, who is when we first hear of him, it's from all these other actresses talking about how gorgeous he is and how they could eat him up with a spoon, and then I turn the page and this wizened, red-eyed, pale beast is looking back at me and I'm like, what the hell, is that what passed for attractive in the 1930s? Oh, man. I looked at it and I went, ooh, but I didn't really think much of it until it becomes apparent a little later that what they're seeing is not what he is. He is the head of some kind of secret cabal that is exploiting the economic chaos that the country is trapped in to keep themselves wealthy and just on top of the world. But it becomes more and more evident that this is the result of some higher power. This is not a superhuman we're dealing with, but whenever the general visits a brothel, his child prostitute, lovely gifts 1930s stuff, is possessed by Nox, Lord of Fear, and all of her skin falls off.
Wow.
Just so he can possess him. So Nox is in fact serving this supernatural entity and trying to find a lost item somewhere in, where is it? Troy, somewhere in the ruins of Troy. So we have a fusion of 1930s pulp hero, burgeoning mid-decade superheroics, and ancient mythological mysticism all rolled up into one. I think the only thing, as far as genres of the era go, is like an alien was to drop in on this story
and
at some point.
Nazi?
Did Brubaker write this?
It is. I was a little trepidatious about this because Marvel's project fizzled. As well, Marvel's project started out with that sort of thing, and I felt fizzled. The main reason I hopped on this was because it put me in mind of the 12, which was Straczynski's lesser known heroes of the 40s. Back to life in the present day, which unfortunately never got finished after he walked off it in one of his patented strops, and he promises he's going to finish it since. But I think Marvel were also a little bit teasy as well because they marked the solicitations of this, the 2 issues. There's another issue out in 2 weeks this month, 2 issues this month, as classified, and there's absolutely no reason for it to mark classified whatsoever. But it's what I would absolutely term a pleasant surprise. It's very, very readable, and I will definitely look forward to more of this. It is a strange little fusion of ideas and themes and various genres from around the same time into a whole that really feels like, because this is supposed to be in the Marvel Universe in continuity, and it really feels like it works and fits there. It's not just all 1930s noir, that sort of stuff as well. There's real proper exploitation of the real socio-political things that were happening at the time to tell this story. And I would say it is well worth a read to anybody. Mystery Man, #1, right this week. Check it out. Good stuff. Good stuff.
Nice.
Cool.
All right.
That's me. That's 2
All right.
things different for you this week.
Well, kids, it's time to talk about the first class.
Oh, yeah.
First class?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, by the way, spoilers, we're going to be talking about X-Men First Class. That came out 2 weeks ago, so if you haven't seen it yet, what the hell?
That's good for us.
So, if you need convincing but want to know everything about the story, you can go ahead and keep listening. If not, I guess that's the show. But anyway, see you next week.
Next week for Fanboy Versus
whatever it's going to be. Okay.
Be versus Green Lantern next week.
Probably.
Sure.
Yeah, we're Green Lantern next week. So good stuff. I'm going to be seeing that first weekend, obviously, because I'm a Green Lantern goober. So anyway, we're going to talk about First Class. So now this is yet another Marvel movie that's out this summer that really isn't a Marvel movie because it's, not even, one thing I noticed just first off when I'm sitting, all of the trailers went by. None of the trailers were for either Thor or Captain America. There was a Green Lantern trailer even. So that was a little odd, but whatever.
Yeah.
So
I think there was a Captain America trailer at my theater.
Yeah, there wasn't at mine, which I thought was kind of odd, but I went to AMC, so who knows. Anyway, so wow. First off, brief synopsis. This film takes place within the pre-existing Marvel X-Men movie universe, right? I mean, this is
Sort of. But not really. They tell you it does, but it doesn't.
Here's my thing.
It ignores some of that.
I think it pretty much ignores. It pretty much ignores the third film, which is fine.
Oh yeah.
And
Wolverine.
Basically,
if Bryan Singer didn't do it, we don't give a shit.
And Wolverine does it? What's part of Origins? I thought it incorporated that.
Emma Frost is in Wolverine. Remember?
Well, I don't believe that. I think they bottled on that in the end. Because, there's a girl who turns to Diamond, and the ads called her Emma Frost, but in the film, she just had a name.
In the film, Cyclops.
Well, she was cast that way. That's how she was cast. But in the finished film, they never referred to her name in the credits.
It's like that. It's like that whole Devastator.
Well, no, I think they actively bottled on the idea. They decided it was maybe not.
Just that, there's also the end of Wolverine kind of doesn't work with this movie, does it?
How so?
I don't know.
Professor X is welcome.
Yeah, that doesn't. And that doesn't work with X-Men either. Yeah.
But anyway, we can ignore Origins, which is fine as well.
So
there's contradictions with the first two as well.
Yeah, just a few light ones. It's fine. I mean, like I said, I think.
I mean, it's not really a prequel, to be honest. It's more of a reboot. It's the stuff is there just general enough to work. If you don't think about it, it's the Incredible Hulk was a reboot as well, but it still picked up years later with everybody believing him dead, living in South America.
Yeah, I think it's one of those deals where
sort of move on.
You'll be less lost if you've seen the other films, but I don't think you really would be. I mean, I think they do a good job of setting it up. So the basic story of this film is that Sebastian Shaw and his Hellfire Club are trying to basically start World War III.
Sebastian Shaw played greatly by Kevin Bacon in cheesy roles.
What a portrayal of Sebastian Shaw. It was awesome. They're
basically Dr. Evil.
Yeah. The Hellfire Club is trying to start World War III, in which Shaw will become the ruler. They didn't really touch on it, but I'm assuming because he's going to be able to absorb all of that energy from the nuclear.
His belief seems to be that atomic energy would empower mutants, so maybe create more mutants.
I think that was a line. I think his vision was far much more based on other actions. Anyway, you can argue that point. So his plan is to start World War III. So the CIA has, at least their eyes on Shaw. And when one of their agents, Moira McTaggart, American, gets a hold of that information and realizes that they're actually mutants as well, decides to try to find an expert on genetic engineering, which turns out to be Professor Xavier, of all people, and who's a recent Oxford graduate, and employs his assistants to help with the CIA. Much things ensue. The X-Men, an early version of the X-Men is created by the CIA fails drastically. They eventually become a team independent and try to save the world from the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's the quick and dirty. What happens in between that is damn sexy.
It is totally sexy. It is like sexy, baby. Yeah, like 1960s.
Like Professor Xavier,
just
like
on the right side of camp.
Oh man, like he's hitting on this chick, and I kind of want to date him. I'm like, holy crap, that's smooth.
Oh, I love that they do. Like, I bet audiences who only know Professor X as Patrick Stewart are a bit weirded out by that. But Professor X is a total pimp.
Oh, yeah.
He got that right.
And he was using his powers to get hints, so he could, think of things to talk to.
Yeah, buy them the drink that they like and shit.
So immoral.
Oh, man. Definitely different from this, grandfather version of, Charles Xavier later and shit. It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, and wow, Magneto.
That dude was a fast-bender.
From start to finish, what an interesting depiction of the character. I mean, in some ways, like the early parts are much more of a caricature, and at the end is a caricature. It's sort of bookended by these sort of caricature moments. But like right in the middle, there's some good stuff.
I mean, at the very start, at the very start, we see Magneto, or Eric, as he is at the time. We get a recreation of the first scene of the first X-Men movie with
was it a recreation?
Yes, it was a recreation, and let me tell you, man, I could not tell there for a second. It was awful.
I didn't know.
Yeah, I mean,
the doctor takes him into his office after he sees him move the gate, and it's Kevin Bacon. And I knew Kevin Bacon was playing Sebastian Shaw, but I didn't know what I was doing, so I figured he was maybe looking at his father or something, But he puts him through a rigor of experiments. He kills his mother in front of him to raise the anger, to activate his powers, and he just wants him to move a coin. And honestly,
move the coin, boy.
Yeah, just move the coin. No,
so fucking evil.
I really expected that. I tell you, I had the end of that film telegraphed within the first 3 minutes of it, but that was because I believed it was about to happen there and then. Because I assumed looking at Shaw's father and that he was going to be out for revenge later. I assumed he was going to move the coin right there in that office. So I'd forgotten about that by the time the end came around. I was like, oh, look at awesome!
But yeah, I mean, and just even throughout, like the points, the notes, the feelings were really, really great. I mean, I think they did a good job of depicting the character. One thing I liked was that they did Beast's origin in this, in the sense that, when Beast first started out, he looked much more human. And then with that serum that he tried to develop, ended up activating more of his genes, and that became sort of the Beast that we know, or from more, the middle Beast.
Is one of those things that's one of only a small number of things in this film that does sort of rely on the audience's knowledge of the future, because it's like, why is he turned blue and hairy? Him actively turning blue and hairy really doesn't add anything to the film, It's just seeing how Beast turned into the.
Well, I don't know that it adds a lot to this film, but I think it adds a lot to especially when you go back and unfortunately it's X3, but to think about that character, like I said, when you see Beast, the older Beast, and for what most of the audience sees a Beast, they see, the hairy Beast, and they don't think about the fact that this character had a very Shakespearean flaw in which he was brilliant and had a sort of minor mutation, and then basically through the process of still being, still not liking that and trying to rid himself of it, made it worse on himself. And I think that's an interesting character moment, and it's something that I think colored the character later, and at least for a time, probably not so much now, but at least for a while. And so I think I
really like that they went through that he wasn't just the blue beast in the movie.
Yeah.
They actually introduced this guy, and then you see him become. I like that. Yeah.
I was a bit confused.
It was easier to see that character because, like, you see X-Men Last Stand. Mm-hmm. Boy, that's cheesy as shit when that's the first thing you see in that movie.
Yeah.
It was a little bit easier to buy it when, like, you see this character, you see how he acts, you see how he's relating to the other characters, and then you see him become it. Versus, hey, that's Kelsey Grammer, and he's in a blue fursuit.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of inescapable, isn't it? Yeah.
The Havoc was a bit interesting, especially because they did call him Alex Summers. I don't know how much they're trying to connect this character to Scott.
They really didn't bother trying.
They didn't. I mean, they didn't even mention that. Which, I mean, I guess you could imply it's his father.
Be related to him.
Yeah, I mean, you could imply it's his father or something, maybe.
I mean, because his energy, everything he would shoot, it's red like the optic,
right?
The black
suit.
Yeah, so I felt that was something right there. Because if you didn't, it's like, oh, we don't know shit about Cyclops, but hey, I remember there was a dude that shot red energy out of his eyes. I wonder if this guy's related to him. Maybe.
And then, I mean, and a host of other odd characters.
That is the funny thing. Like, you say a host of odd characters. Like all the promotional material and the really weird choices for characters really made everybody go about this. And we did it ourselves. We did it back. We all went, what the hell are they doing with this? Angel?
Yeah.
Grant Morrison, Angel.
Yeah, really weird choices, and yet it really felt like it could be X3 all over again with its really weird roster of choices, and it just wasn't. Anybody who seemed overly weird was just, they were just there to be there. Like, I mean, I was like Riptide sitting at the bar and he whirled up a wee tornado in his hand, and I was like, is that fucking Riptide? Riptide, really? And yet, he was just there, threw a few tornadoes around, don't think he spoke a single line.
No.
So that's who that was. I couldn't figure out who that was.
Yeah, I couldn't figure out who it was either. Now, okay, I'll go ahead and take this point in the middle of all this while we're saying things are awesome. To give my one point, I teased this earlier in the week on my Twitter. I had one point of contention with the film that annoyed me. Not internally in terms of the story structure or anything like that, but I have to admit that I'm going to get ripped for this. I was annoyed that they killed Darwin right off the bat.
No, I don't rip you on that.
The reason, it annoyed me for a couple of reasons. One, I think Darwin can be and should be an interesting character. But two, you can't escape the original concept that X-Men was a way of talking about civil rights. I mean, I don't think that's like a reach. So you have this story where you're making a movie about that, and you include a black character, which is awesome, and then you kill him right off the bat.
Yeah.
That was a little annoying. It
didn't feel necessary,
No,
there didn't seem to be any reason for him to die.
Well, okay,
obviously it's to prove the severity of the threat of the villain, but
then another character. Do another. I mean, there's Banshee. I mean, other than Banshee can fly.
What do you got against the Irish, huh?
Dude, Banshee is awesome. Shut your mouth.
Okay. So you include another annoying character to kill off for that purpose. I mean, really, Darwin was only around in that group scene where they have the party and then he dies right after it. It's like
didn't get the chance to do anything.
Well, Darwin is he's one of those. He was an X-Men, but we didn't know about it.
Deadly
right?
Genesis.
Yeah. So I understand why they did it because
Darwin's whole shtick is for you to think he's dead, only for him to turn up not dead later.
Right.
So he'll probably be like in the sequel.
He may turn up in the sequel.
I didn't want him in the sequel. I wanted him in this movie. I didn't want them to kill off the black guy right off the bat like they always do. So anyway, that was my only point of contention. I would have liked to have seen that character last. Choose any other character. Come up with another character. Leave Darwin on the team and come up with another random character. It's not like there aren't a million fucking X-Men characters that you could have come up with to be a fucking sacrificial sheep out. I mean, Jesus. I mean, come on. There are tons of lame X-Men characters that could have died in his place.
It really bothers you, don't it?
It does. I think it's
way too worked up about this.
No, I think
it bothered me that bad. I understand what you're saying. That didn't. I think if he was a character that was a more developed character, I guess, in the comics, a character I've got a stronger attachment to, I think it would have bothered me more.
Well,
I think it's bothering you more because he's like the black guy that dies after like 5 minutes.
I know, which is cliche and stupid, and that's my point. It was poorly thought out, is my thing. I think it was poorly thought out from a direction standpoint. To say, oh, wait a minute, we're killing off the black guy, and look at all of these white people. That's my point of annoyment. That's why it annoys me. Like I said, it's my only point of annoyment. I love the movie. So we can get back into that conversation.
I really feel the blue-skinned people were underrepresented.
Yeah, well, they need to have movies. Hey, there's a Smurf movie coming out, all right? So
not right. Oh, Jesus. No, that's a movement to kill them all now.
So anyway, back into the film. But otherwise, I mean, yeah, I think the team works. I totally get, Angel's, deflection to the Hellfire Club. I mean, that felt organic and natural within the course of the film.
I love that the Hellfire Club was basically a giant team of Bond villains. I fucking love that.
Yeah.
Sebastian Shaw in front of his giant map, moving shit around.
Yeah, it was awesome. It's like
Emma Frost was not. Yeah, I wasn't saying on Emma Frost because there's nothing of Emma
did
Frost
not
in
do
it.
anything like acting wise.
That was
it's not the cold sexiness that you expect from Emma Frost.
Yeah.
But she was more Emma Peel than Emma Frost. But I love the way that they were able to pass off her various ridiculous outfits because she was basically pussy galore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way, and this is what proves to me that the character was written well. It's just that the performance was bad. We walk out of the theater, and my wife says, yeah, it's like she didn't quite do very well, and she like nails the description of what Emma Frost is. That she's like cold and calculating, and that she, should be like sexy but also very intelligent. And I'm like, you don't even know who the fuck this character is. But she picked it up from the script, and that made me feel like it was definitely somewhere between the actor and the director just weren't able to.
There's definitely room for the character to grow in that direction in any subsequent sequels, but in this she was just more of the bored mole.
Yeah, and I think that it was written with the ability to be a lot more. But otherwise, that wasn't bad either. I mean, there were a couple of moments which were kind of funny, like the general sitting there feeling up the air.
Oh yeah.
But and man, there's another moment where you see Eric just going off the deep end as he's, magnetizing all the rails of the bed and like strangling her in diamond form. It was just.
Oh, he had so many just great. Like he stole the frickin' film.
Oh, he did. He so did.
All of the marketing and all the other characters in him. That film is about Professor X and Magneto both fast. And McAvoy did a really good job as Professor X, totally. But it's like he made you forget. I mean, I think maybe the biggest credit you could give either of those two guys is that they made you forget about Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen.
Yes, I agree.
They were very likable characters.
And weren't trying to emulate McKellen and Stewart at all. They weren't trying to base their performances on them. They just went in there and did it, and they totally made it.
They were so likable. I wanted to see them still be friends at the end of the movie.
Yeah,
I wanted to see go into I wanted to see a sequel or another sequel where there's the big break. I didn't want to see the break into this.
Yeah, that whole sequence. Speaking of which, that whole sequence though in the Argentinian bar was just.
Oh, fantastic.
Wow. And again, something right out of like a Bond or sort of action movie sequence, but with superpowers. Because he's got the knife and, he stabs the guy and then brings it back and puts it right in his hand. It was just
the thing about Magneto's powers is they do lend themselves to visual cool a lot more than Professor X.
Mind control, yeah. That's not as interesting. Other than when he freezes everybody. I thought that the film it was a little bit slow getting going. I thought it the first 45 was not the most entertaining 45 minutes out of the film, but after that
the film together, it was an hour 50, 2 hours.
Yeah, it was 2:15. It was long. But man, once you pass that 45-minute point, it's buckle your seatbelt, strap in, and go. It got real fucking interesting real quick. I mean, once the I keep calling the Brotherhood because this was the pre-Brotherhood, but the Hellfire Club, once the Hellfire Club attacks the CIA, it pretty much takes the fuck off. Yeah. I mean, from that point, it really just starts to fly from that point and really starts moving pretty hard towards the end of the film. I mean, and I have to say the end was pretty intense. I mean, in terms of, the action sequence, going back and forth, you don't know what Magneto's going to do. You see that constant struggle, with the missiles and everything. I don't want to give all of it away.
It's when Magneto takes the helmet and puts it on, I'm like, yes.
I mean,
you know what's going now.
Bravo to the promotional department for the film because they did a great job of showing someone in the Magneto helmet, and you don't realize for most of the film or for most of the previews anyway, that it's not Eric. It's Shaw.
I mean, the one picture that did the rounds was Eric, but there was no. I was like, whenever he pulled it out of the box and said the Russians made this film, I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's going to be interesting.
Where they got it from? But it's like moments like that. I had a similar reaction to it. That okay, the spoiler, but what he says was, when Professor X gets paralyzed at the end, it's just when Magneto's deflecting the bullets, and one of them catches Professor X, and was like, oh, that's how it happened. Because it's like, that's awesome. I had, as I say, I had forgotten about Stewart and McKellen to the fact that I was to the. Oh my God, my brain just turned off. To the extent that I forgot about the wheelchair, that would need to be part of it at all. So it was like, but it was so violent, sudden. It was like something else was happening, and your eyes weren't even on that.
I didn't think it was going to happen, honestly. I thought, again, like the break, I didn't think the break would happen this. I didn't think that the wheelchair would come into play, and then just out of nowhere, it just boom.
Yeah, it was all there. So one thing I want to talk about is that I had no idea going in that there was going to be cameos in this film.
No, I didn't either. I didn't get spoiled on it.
I'd heard there were 2, but I was spoiled on Hugh Jackman.
I was not.
I had no idea. I was surprised when I saw
that. That was brilliant. Walk in and he's there and he's like, "Get the fuck out!" And they just don't even look at him. They're just like, "Okay."
Tell you what, though, I had to blink and look twice because Hugh Jackman got haggard somewhere over the last 10 years.
Yeah, he looked kind of rough. It was probably doing that Rock'em Sock'em Robots movie.
Oh, yeah.
Worst
looking
I did
ever.
know about the other cameo, and that took me by surprise as well.
Rebecca Romaine is, like...
You blanket missed that one.
It really was quick, but it was a good moment. I mean, it felt organic within it, and you're like, oh shit, that's actually her.
Yeah, on we go.
And then there was a little bit of a reference. I mean, they referenced William Stryker, the son of, being the son of one of those generals. So, I mean, like I said, there was a lot of in-universe stuff. I mean, that's in there. Where if you've seen the other films,
if you actually look too closely at it, it doesn't really work. It's like they present Cerebro as something Beast makes when the films say that help Professor X.
But to the testament of how good the film is, I didn't think about half of this stuff until later.
Yeah,
like I was laying in bed and went, like I was thinking about. I mean, I walk out. Here's the deal: when I saw Thor, right? I saw Thor and I walked out and I'm like, that's a great movie. I can't wait till that comes out on Blu-ray and I can buy it and like take it home and watch it. I came out of X-Men and I'm like, I want to turn right the fuck around and go buy another goddamn ticket and go watch it the fuck again because it was that good. But then like later I'm laying in bed and I'm sitting there thinking and I'm like, wait a minute. In the third movie, Charles and Eric went and got Jean together.
Yep.
And that doesn't...
Well, it's actively ignoring the third movie.
Yeah.
So that's an active thing where it didn't bother to take any of that into account.
But like you said, there's other things kind of as well that, even from the other...
Yeah, it can sort of, fit with X-Men 1 and 2, but it can't with 3. If you look at it the right way, it makes sense. Cause
if you overlook the building Cerebro thing together, it basically does work with X-Men 1 and 2.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, my only problem with the movie, and it's not so much a problem, but it's like when they were talking about, okay, this is kind of like, this could be like a reboot of the X-Men franchise, and they could maybe do something else with it. I wanted them to go further. I wanted them to completely separate themselves from the other movies and say, like, hey, this is like the new starting point. But they didn't. They basically set things that, okay, this leads into this and this and all that. I wish they could have just completely forgot.
I think you get the potential of alienating the audience when you do that, and I think that'll remain to be seen, like with Spider-Man, because I know that's going to be a reboot, and we'll see how the audience, sort of receives that. We're going to see the same with Superman as well.
I don't mind that they lead into them and they can lead into them. It's just that I would have liked it better if it was like a hard reboot and they kind of ignored the other movies. So that if this is successful, which it kind of sounds like it's doing pretty good, and we get a sequel maybe, then in the sequel maybe we could then get like an Angel or a Cyclops or a Marvel Girl when they're young. I would like to see that.
Yeah, and
but if he's into those other movies, then they're kind of stuck. They got to kind of.
I don't think that. I think that they can massage the details. I mean, ultimately, the only things that are really conflicting with it are flashbacks. flashbacks to Professor X and Magneto picking Jean up in the third movie, and to Professor Xavier finding the younger students in Wolverine, and whatever. Like, if you want to massage details a bit.
Yeah, I see that. I could see this film. I mean, I don't know what the numbers are like. I haven't really watched it here.
But
it did, what, $60 million the first weekend? That's what I heard.
I heard it beat Thor for the first weekend.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think it gives potential for this series, so hopefully they'll continue on maybe with these actors and characters, and there's a lot of gap. I mean, you think about the first X-Men movie came out in the late 2000, early 2000s, late 90s.
Late 2000, I think.
So, 2000.
Yeah, 2000. So, I mean, you've got
11 years ago.
Oh god, you've got quite a gap in there. I mean, you set the next one like around 67 or so. I mean, it's just like
what I would love to see is if they can't do another 60s, if we could get X-Men in the 70s.
That would be awesome.
X-Men in the 80s would be awesome.
Yeah, and I think that would be a good direction for this series of films. So
do one in the 70s, then you could do another one in the 80s or something. I would enjoy. Like the 80s one would have Dazzler in it and Disco.
Oh, wow.
I see that.
So I mean, like I said, there's a lot of stuff in the film. I don't think we need to go into every detail, but I think by and large, this was an excellent film. I mean, like I said,
huge surprise. We did not expect.
I think the surprise factor is factoring in a little bit into perhaps everybody's glowing reviews of the thing, because everybody really expected this to suck donkey.
Yeah, I should expect all movies to suck, and maybe I'll like them. Just that little bit.
Prepare for Green Lantern to suck, JD.
I know. Maybe that's what I need to do. I need to assume that Green Lantern is going to be terrible. So, anyway, I think that's about it.
Maybe truer.
But
by that same notion, Dark of the Moon will be the best movie of the year.
Yeah, really. So we'll see. This is a big summer. There's a lot of movies coming out. We're going to be talking a lot of movies probably.
Well, I don't think there's any major comics art this week coming, so I presume Green Lantern will be top of the show next week.
Yeah, and I'm planning on seeing that on Saturday morning, so that'll be awesome.
That's not pink night.
No, I'm not going. I can't do it anymore. I'm too old. I can't. So, anyway, so there you go. That's our review. Dear God, if you've not seen X-Men First Class, go. If you've already seen it, go see it again.
Run, don't walk to the theater right now.
And get your subs card if you got AMC. I've got that card. I loved it. That's pretty awesome. Just as a little plug for AMC. So, that's our show, Fanboy Versus. We are on every Sunday, 3:30 Central, 4:30 Eastern, 9:30 GMT.
That's right.
Hey, I can learn. It's amazing. Thank you.
Vacation.
Yeah, so we'll be back next week with Nicole. Go check out the website, tfradio.net. Got tons of shows there to check out. Good stuff to check out there. Lots of fun shows, including RSC, Superhero Time, all that great stuff. There's really good stuff. New Soundwave. So check that out as well. You can see video of some of our shows and audio, and the BotCon show. BotCon show was just up. We put that up yesterday, I think, which was our BotCon recap show. And I think Brian and I are going to be on Old Oil House as well. We recorded a segment for them, so yes, it's it's like an exchange program. A little bit of a British exchange program, but anyway, so check those out as well. All the BotCon coverage. Go to T-Formers as well. T-Formers has tons of recap BotCon coverage and stuff there, and of course we're going to be gearing up for San Diego Comic-Con. That's going to be coming out pretty quick. So that is going to be a lot of fun stuff. That's where all our news will be. Hopefully we'll do some live remote stuff as well. Let's hope so. Who knows? Maybe we'll see some movie previews. There's always some good stuff that we really can't see because a lot of that stuff gets locked out. That's a good question, Cassius. Cassius asked which Old Oil House. I asked Brian that same question, and he didn't know either. So I don't know which Old Oil House show it'll be on. Check them all out. They're good shows. Typically. So, anyway. So there you go. That's our show. Our Twitter feed for this show is @FanboyVS. You can also go to the TF Radio feed, which is @TF And also, if you go to the website, you can get the links to all of our Twitter feeds as well. Facebook, we also have that for
Retweet if you love us.
Yes, and please retweet when we're starting the show and getting going. We want you to make sure you get all your friends involved. Tell your friends about us. Talk about us at your shop. Hopefully they like us. We usually talk good about stuff that people should buy. So anyway, there you go. That's the show. Again, thanks so much for joining us. We're going to be here again like we do next week when this show will be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.